Welcome, Bipolar Rollers. Today we're talking again with my dear friend, Tricia Cusine. Cousin. She likes to call it cousin. It's not spelled cousin. Okay. It's a stretch interpretation, but Tricia Cusine here, and we're talking about bipolar and borderline personality disorder. So, when did you know that you were borderline?
I never did.
You never
I
did?
still don't believe it.
And do you feel like maybe you're misdiagnosed?
Yes. I was diagnosed with borderline in the hospital. So
Right. And
just traits. My doctor had to sort it out for me because I didn't believe it. Because literature just contradicts what they say and what they try to teach you.
yeah, it's true. It's and for people like us, we're not necessarily hypochondriacs, but we all have access to the internet, and it's easy to self-diagnose too, and then be at odds with a true diagnosis. I think because I didn't believe I had bipolar at first. I just thought I had a bad temper and emotional issues. but I guess both can be true. So what do you think? Like, you've done obviously some of your own homework,
Yeah.
guys.
Much more.
What do you think the main difference is between, say, bipolar and borderline personality disorder? Yeah, because I always think about
There's
it
not
too.
really a big difference.
Yeah.
You know?
It's there, and it's common. I didn't know this, but I mean, it's not common, but possible to have both, like traits of both.
Yeah.
And that's tricky. You
Yeah.
know, I know my experiences with borderline personality disorder have been really difficult. They've been usually my only experience with having a borderline personality person as a partner has been the unfaithfulness, right?
Okay.
The acting out in risky sexual behavior, things like that, and the lying,
I would never
lots
do
of
that.
lying. Well, see, that's the thing. With diagnosis, it can be confusing because we as a people we like to be able to label things. You know, we need category. We need we need to flesh out things that we feel. You know, and that can be tricky because sometimes you don't meet all those traits, but you feel almost compelled or obligated to try to see that in you, even though it seems so off from who you are.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, because it's a label, and if you're going to be in a category, it's difficult to assimilate. We want to know that category fits us because then there might be a strategy or an action plan to help us. Because they have a category for it. So there's got to be a cure or a solution, and sadly there is still no cure
No.
for either of our. But there is help, obviously, and
Because it's our brain that makes us that way, and we don't want them cracking open our brains.
Yeah.
I with electricity.
yeah. But I should note though that I hear that there is some success with electroshock
I've heard
therapy,
that too.
yeah, which is hard to imagine because we all grew up with pictures and movies of where that was. Yeah, you might as well have gotten a death penalty.
Right?
And it looks pretty painful in the movies. But I mean, anything that works, really, they all come with.
Because it's all going to be different.
Yeah, they all come with risks. Like, for instance, let's talk about like for instance, there's medications that we take that have some pretty interesting side effects.
Yes.
I've experienced that a lot myself. There was a lot of juggling around with a cocktail of pharmaceuticals to find the right match, and that's what they pretty much have to do.
It takes a while.
It takes a while.
I didn't even think I needed to change it up. Like, I just thought, well, that one worked, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
But in, I guess, hindsight, looking back, I'm like, yeah, there's certain ones that work that better. Like, there's,
Yeah.
that does better.
And some of them come with life-threatening risks. Like lithium, for instance, they have to regularly test you to make sure your blood isn't being poisoned.
Oh.
So that's intense. That's why they don't prescribe it as much. But it's with every treatment comes some risks, and there's still, as of yet, no cure. So we have to make the most of it, which is what our channel is about. It's about making the most of your condition and trying to turn those weaknesses into strengths. It's challenging to say the least. I've gone through a lot of different ordeals over the last few years, and I can say honestly that, you know, at least half, if not more, were kind of self-inflicted, you know? Like, we caused these problems, not intentionally, not with malevolence, but clearly because our brains are steering us in a direction that maybe we're not meant to go.
Yeah.
You know?
That's constant ignorance because we don't know what's going to happen or we don't know how.
Emotions.
And, when you, I don't know, get your explore and get your knowledge, then you can be more prepared to succeed in helping it.
It's been,
Or identifying it and becoming aware.
yeah, it's been a journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Having emotions run our lives. They really do.
Yeah.
Even if you keep it together when the emotion is set in.
It keeps you attached.
Yeah.
As well.
It's like an anchor.
That's not good, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, let's go down the mountain and make a left instead.
We're going back.
Yeah. Well, because this only just keeps going higher and higher and more difficult. Like our conditions. Because apparently our conditions supposedly get worse with age. You know?
Really?
And that's scary because I'm up there. And I know that the extremes have been higher in my life. So that's probably attributed to, you know, the condition just setting itself in. Now, I know I've preached a big deal about pharmaceuticals and how, you know, how opposed I am to them. But there came a point in my life.
But I just in trying them, like trying so many different kinds of stuff and finding the right way, makes me believe that that's part of recovery or whatever.
Right.
To treat you.
Yeah.
And then I think that it's really important to note that it's a combination of many things in order to recover.
Yeah.
And if you're missing even one of them, it's like having a puzzle. Like if you miss a piece, you're kind of throwing it out, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Or it's gonna break.
And I kind of frowned upon it because, because I'm no big fan of the pharmaceutical industry. Most people know. They kind of run the world, the biggest mafia in the world, and their products don't work as advertised. So, but you know, I'm not a dumb man, and I can admit when I'm wrong. And sometimes your bipolar can get to a point where you need some intervention, and I'm willing to try it again. So level with you guys. Again, I'm not a big fan of these medications, but I'm doing my best to straighten up my life because at this particular point, I think bipolar makes you feel like you hit rock bottom. And maybe that's a good thing because there's only one way to go from there. It has been a trying time. And I'm trying to keep my chin up, you know? Don't be a statistic. Don't let bipolar take you. I care about you guys, and I know how depressing bipolar can be. But know you've got a friend here, and reach out if you ever need any help. You can find that in the captions. Find the means to reach out. Anyway, it's crucial that no matter what similarities bipolar and borderline have, that you don't get too carried away with the labels and focus more on things that will enrich your life to bring you back to what you consider stable. So it's been quite a journey, and I'm really curious about your journey. What kind of medications do they have you on? If you don't want to get that personal, it's all good, but let me know how it's affected you. And if you have any borderline personality friends who you swear are bipolar. But again, just labels. These are just labels, folks.
Well, it's a spectrum. Yeah. It's a spectrum world now. Like, you don't really have one thing. You're on a spectrum. Somewhere you fit in the spectrum because you have traits of this and traits of that and traits of this. So you're combined. You're a little bit of everything.
Exactly.
when you mess around with what to treat everything instead of like one for each, then you seek other supports like therapy, which is very important, I think, for people like us. And other people, like people that are like, you know, OCD or ADHD or having addictions, being addicts and stuff, I think is really important. And also your social circle must be very supportive and positive and lead you in a, make it better for you, easier for you, than harder. And then you can never move forward.
And I know
and
that people
don't
like
do
us.
one, because therapy is really unavailable. Lots of people nowadays don't have the support circle they used to have because everybody's at work trying to, you know, bust the grind all the time. They don't have time anymore.
Personally, I think it's gotten better though. I think there's way more out there than there ever was. You know,
more,
like,
but try and access it. Like,
yeah,
you know, when you're depressed and you have this, it's, you know, you're bipolar or borderline or whatever, and you're stuck. The last thing you can do is afford $190 visit to the therapist, you know? And there's lots of those. And I also
there's always numbers you can call though. So don't be afraid to make that call.
I got a book today.
If you're too overwhelmed by all the booking and everything, call them, speak to them. All you got to do is just tell somebody how you feel. And they've got the resources available to help you. Well, this isn't reaching just Alberta though, so that's the thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. If you're in Alberta, call 211. They can help you out. So, have you ever dated anybody with borderline personality disorder?
Well, never diagnosed, of course. I actually, my therapist said that there was a good chance that my previous partner was borderline as well.
I often wonder how those two would coexist as a couple, you know?
Like, kind of like on one side, when it's good. When it's awful, it's awful.
Yeah.
You know, it's feisty and angry and you know, fire and dishes. Throwing dishes. And, you know?
Yeah, that's right. There's some real Rihanna shit going on down there. Relationships like that. It's, yeah. Because I know.
Also, it depends because that partner of mine was a little bit from a different, different stroke, right? Different stroke. So he came from a different place and was raised differently.
Yeah.
It made it how he coped different. So he was a little bit more, of course, he was a guy, so he was like more masculine, more I can do it, more like I'm a fighter. Whereas I was a woman and I'm more submissive and I'm more like directed and simple, like, you know, softer things. So it was really hard to coexist in that sense.
I bet it was.
But then if we were like alone and got rid of all that and made a plan, everything was fine.
Yeah.
I did learn a lot though.
Yeah, that's the funny.
In hindsight, boy, oh boy, was that my lesson in my life.
That's one thing for sure.
Whether you strong and not masculine,
whether you love us or you hate us, you never forget the bipolar or the borderline personality person that you dated. Like mine traumatized me, absolutely. Borderline personality disorder traumatized me, and it gave me a negative view of the illness, as I'm sure bipolar has for a lot of people too. It's important to remember that we're all human, and that you know, we all have our different challenges. So what may seem extreme to you may not seem that extreme to somebody who's had a fair amount of extremes, you know, in their life, and it's just the response is going to be different. Like everything is subjective. If you were to change one thing about your illness, like just take that away so you never have to deal with that issue again that seems to keep popping up, what do you think that would be for you?
Like codependency.
Yes, codependency. That's a good one. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on in the world. Seems to have run rampant. As rampant as the catchphrase narcissist. It seems to be like a huge thing over and over again. That's a tough one.
Absolutely.
Narcissism is also a super tough one. They face an uphill battle. Not only are they fully hated, but they are not aware that they are. A real narcissist will never be aware that they're a narcissist. Like, they refuse to believe that diagnosis, and that's challenging. for obviously, because I mean, we find out you're borderline person, you find out you're borderline personality. I find out I'm bipolar. I believe it, you know, like you believe it. But if you, therefore I can treat it. If you don't believe you have, if there's anything wrong, you don't believe that anything's wrong, how are you ever going to change anything? How are you ever going to fix anything? You don't even believe the problem exists.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pretty difficult. So yeah, to get off the narcissism conversation, it's just, that's why I brought it up. It's just, it's important that you recognize.
Any of the support, like any of the rehab supports out there, like, you know, just follow that kind of idea or that kind of format for yourself, and you can have little successes, but you can learn a lot about yourself in that, and you can, it makes you more self-aware, and that's what you need first. Because if you don't have that, what do you got?
Yeah.
You can work here.
I think maybe we'll have more talks like this sometime. You know, sometimes I just feel free form is just better. You know, just get people authentically. And I hope that you can hear us okay. I'm not using fancy technology. My heart is here for you guys. And I really just want us to have more discussions in general in society, between all the different groups of people, because somewhere along the line we lost our knowledge that we are all one. You know, society has separated us repeatedly, and some of us have taken the bait. But just never forget where you come from. Everybody around you is a part of you.
Like, try and focus on the right now.
Exactly.
Because yeah, maybe that's what I would also, something that I would try and fix, because I never ever was able to do that. And you miss out.
Yeah.
Time still goes by, right? Like always, you can't stop it. So you never stop, but you're doing and what's passing you by, you just have to pay attention.
And with that, I bid you guys adieu. Bipolar always represent.